I first learned 4 mallets, I thought I was the bee's knees. Thought all the girls were going to stop swooning over Tom from Blink-182 and find new love in the dude holding 4 mallets, right? Well, apparently I was wrong, but it's still a great next step for angsty teens looking to up their mallet game. There are a few main things to understand when writing for 4 mallets. First, there are the grips and the instrument ranges. Then there's mallet numbering, which is similar to numbering fingers for piano music. And then there's independence versus chords and the intervals that you're writing at. Though there are 3 major grips out there, there are 2 that are more prominently taught, and from that, I often see one more for soloistic performance. And I think the reason is Stephen's grip gives you a little bit more mallet control for independence, as well as more of a delicate motion. I've taught Burton's grip for general percussion setups because it gives you a little bit more velocity, but ultimately it's going to be up to the teacher or performer to choose which grip they're going to use for your piece. So don't get hung up on this, but it's good to know. If you want to learn more about this, come join the marching band that I teach at. As for ranges, a xylophone and vibraphone are fairly consistent and have these ranges. However, marimbas can vary. Most high schools I've encountered have a 4 1/3 octave marimba, with an occasional 4 1/2. It's rare to see a high school with a 5 octave marimba, though most colleges have 5 octave because the modern advanced repertoire utilizes it. I have a composition, and it's a series of duets for a single marimba, and because it's geared towards high school or early college, I never go below this A, so it can be performed on a 4 1/3 octave marimba. You can learn more about this piece by watching my national standards video. Alright, that's enough self-promotion. Some beginner 4-mallet works have numbers. These indicate which mallets to use when. But think of the indications like bow direction markings for beginner strings. And what I mean by that is you write them in, but if the teacher thinks of something better, don't be a sad panda if they change it. So it's pretty straightforward. From left to right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Unless you're the other half of percussionists who think it's 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is why we can't have nice things. I more commonly see 1, 2, 3, 4. But either way, be sure it's clear in your score early. It's not necessary to indicate every note. Think of it more at the beginning of patterns. Beginner works normally have a combination of chords with accessible independent patterns. Take Yellow After the Rain by Mitchell Peters, one of the most performed 4-mallet pieces by high schoolers for college auditions. Notice the mallet indicators, the minimized independent motion in the left hand, while the right hand stabs dyads. Then it goes into straight independent patterns, helping develop the performer's rotation and interval accuracy. It's also important to consider intervals in the same hand. The interval of a second is extremely hard for a beginner to contract to. The same goes for larger intervals, though there, it's more about accuracy in such a large range. You end up losing control. Try to keep it between a third and a sixth for beginners. Lastly, for beginners, make the angle even. What I mean is playing C and G creates a linear plane horizontally. If you wrote C and F sharp, the wrist turns drastically, which makes it more difficult to land, especially quickly. So the key takeaways are: avoid writing for 5-octave marimbas, indicate mallet numbering at the beginning of sections or when necessary, create lots of independence patterns to help build those fundamentals using appropriate intervals, and lastly, most importantly, is you're making a few nerdy percussionists feel like the cat's pajamas. And I don't know, it's some slogan from the early 1900s, I think. 4-mallet playing is cool, whatever, I'm done.